Nick's back. We're talking what's more likely, or we're diving into what's more likely. I'll toss it to you. I'm excited for these. We did overreactions. We stuck with overreactions on Tuesday, and there were some good ones. 15 made me definitely drop a jaw a couple of times, which was a good time. And now we're back with what's more likely. Week 14, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, round 2. Nick, I'm going to toss it to you. What do we got?
Yeah, I talked about settling in on Tuesday. I settled right into this chair whenever I sat down and said, all right, it's time for what's more likely. It's been a minute, but I'm excited to do this, and I'm excited to see, your answers on a lot of these. And I want to start with the big guy for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because there was a lot of talk the last time the Steelers took on the Cleveland Browns about what TJ Watt did, and more specifically, what TJ Watt didn't do. So here it is. Let's start what's more likely with this one. What is more likely? TJ Watt records his first official 3-sack game of the season, or TJ Watt is blanked for the second time this year against the Cleveland Browns and comes away with 0 sacks.
Oh man, that would be disastrous, huh? That would just be a killer. It's bad. It's bad because I'm logically speaking, okay? Speaking with the brain here, not the heart. It's getting blanked. He's been blanked a couple of times this season, and the Browns have a game plan for him. They're going to have an even tougher game plan for him this week. They just saw him, so they understand what they have to do and how they're going to do it. But at the same time, Alex Highsmith is back. Nick Herbig is an absolute menace, and you got to think that that's going to help. They're going to move him around more. They've finally admitted that's what the 10-day break was the Steelers finally admitting, okay, we should probably move TJ. That should be like a thing that we do all the time. I expect it to happen more. My brain tells me blanked. My heart tells me 3 sacks. But what's more likely, sadly, right now is getting blanked. I don't feel good about that answer. I don't like it. I don't support it. And if you want to roast me for it, I support that. But what's more likely is TJ gets blanked. It sucks to say, but that's what it is.
Now, it is AFC North football, and even though last week was kind of a departure from what you expect whenever you hear that phrase, this week, I think we're going to see a little bit more of it. So with that in mind, what's more likely, Noah? Nick Chubb runs for 2 touchdowns, which he did against Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, or Najee Harris runs for 2 touchdowns in this one, something he hasn't done yet in 2024.
Wow, he really hasn't rushed for 2 touchdowns this season?
Only max out at 1 a game.
You got to go Nick Chubb on this too. You're giving me just brutal questions here because people are going to hate me after this segment. You got to go Nick Chubb on this. Like it's different situations. The Steelers have different options in the red zone and at the goal line. Like, yeah, Najee Harris, great, but you could also toss it up to George Pickens. You could put Justin Fields on the field. You can utilize Cordero Patterson or Jaylen Warren or, there are Pat Freiermuth. There are other options that the Pittsburgh Steelers have utilized throughout the year. Najee's not the one. And while he should be the one, like it's just not, it doesn't ever seem to set itself up that way for the Steelers. Nick Chubb is a dude, like if you're within 6 yards, they're not throwing the football. They're not saying, oh, Jameis, do your thing. No, they're saying Nick Chubb score a touchdown. So you got to go what's more likely Nick Chubb here, just simply, based off of logistics and scheme and what they do. And it just, Chubb's going to get more opportunity. He's going to get more shots there. The Steelers have too many options. And because of that, you got to go Nick Chubb. I think Najee could have a better game, but I think 2 touchdowns most likely could be Najee Harris or could be Nick Chubb.
All right, let's change it up a little bit on this one. Who's more likely to score a touchdown in this one? Pat Freiermuth, who has 4 in 2024 and 1 over his entire career against Cleveland, or David Njoku, who has 4 in 2024, but 3 against Pittsburgh lifetime.
Yeah, I'm going Pat Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth got involved last week. They used the middle of the field. I think that's going to continue. I'm going Pat. David Njoku does not play. I mean, I get it. He had those 3 touchdowns, but I'm pretty sure 2 of them came in 1 game. All 3 of them might have come in 1 game, to be honest with you. He's had his big games, but he's also had his disappearing games, and it's not a good year for David Njoku. Whereas in Pat, every time he touches the ball, something good happens, but he just doesn't get the opportunities with the football in his hands. I'm saying Pat in this. I think the Steelers are turning a corner here. Pat's going to be one of their new top targets moving forward, and I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about where the Steelers are in terms of recognizing their faults and adjusting. And Pat Freiermuth not being involved was one of their massive faults. So you got to go Pat here. I feel really confident about Pat in this one. Actually, I feel good about that answer. David Njoku, man, he's never really impressed me. And I've been told, and I'll say it, people aren't going to be happy about it, but I've been told by somebody in that Steelers building that Njoku ain't it, pal. There ain't a lot of there are a lot of people that don't take that guy seriously as maybe some fans do.
Yeah, there's a short list of players that just ran through my mind. I'm not going to say it for the same reason that you didn't say who it was, but there's a short list of players.
I won't say anything, but yeah.
Let's move over to this one. What's more likely? Mike Williams catches 2 passes or Justin Fields scores a touchdown. Reminder, Mike Williams has been targeted once since he was traded to the Steelers.
It's Justin Fields. It's Justin Fields. Like, you even watch practice, dude, and Mike Williams is running with the second and the third team, and you're going, this guy ain't getting involved. Like, they're not there yet. He's not coming yet. I don't know what they're waiting for. I don't know if he really just doesn't know the playbook that much and it's just becoming an issue. I have no idea. What I do know is that Justin Fields is on the field, that they're going to utilize him a little bit here and a little bit there, and they're going to try to switch it up when they do utilize him. But Mike Williams, they don't even care about utilizing him. If he's on the field, if he's not on the field, doesn't make a difference to the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Two passes? Do you know how George Pickens got 3 last week? Like, that's a huge chunk of targets from Russell Wilson. Yeah, I think Justin Fields scoring a touchdown is like almost likely in the next 5 games. And against Cleveland, it's supposed to be nice outside, so people will be protecting the pass a little bit more. I think it could open it up. I'm going Justin Fields in this one. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm going Justin Fields.
I mean, that begs the question. Was this Mike Williams trade just a pacifier move from the Steelers? Like, everybody's been talking about us getting a number 2 wide receiver. Here, there's your number 2 wide receiver. We did it. And that way, for like 4 or 5 weeks, Mike Tomlin can sit there and say, well, he's getting on a moving train. But in all reality, they're basically saying, we liked what we had. This was just to shut some of you up.
I think they did like what they had a lot more than they let on. I do think that. I think Mike is having a harder time adjusting to the offense than they thought would happen. But I don't know if pacifier move would justify it. I think that they had higher expectations. Those expectations weren't met, and they kind of just immediately backed off. They just, okay, like, when he's ready, but until then, who really cares? Like, we have to move forward with our other options. I think that's what happened. So I don't think it was meant to be a pacifier move. I think it quickly turned into one where they just said, like, yeah, well, we made a move. We thought it would be great. Didn't turn out to be great. Who really cares? We're moving on. Like, I think that's what's going on.
Well, let's go over to the last what's more likely, because I still can't wrap my brain around that, and I'm not going to continue to try here and waste everybody's time. But I have one more what's more likely. Then we got a bunch in the live chat that we'll get to. But let's close mine out with this one. What's more likely, Noah? Nick Herbig, who has been great over the last handful of weeks, forces a fumble for the 4th consecutive game, or the returning Alex Highsmith records a 2-sack game in his return.
Alex Highsmith. I mean, I love Nick Herbig, and I think he's an absolute monster right now. He is phenomenal, and he's gonna eat somebody's lunch at some point during every game. I believe that. But Alex Highsmith is hot every time he is on that field. Like, it's crazy how good Alex Highsmith is in such a limited amount of playing time this season. If he was healthy all year long, I think he'd be having the best year of any Pittsburgh Steelers defensive player right now, which right now I'd give that to Cam Hayward. I think Cam Hayward is having the best season of anybody in the Pittsburgh Steelers defense right now. And I think Alex Highsmith would have had a better one. Like, Alex Highsmith looks unbelievable when he is on that field. I'm going Alex. I think it's close. That's the closest one of the ones that you've asked, I would say. But I would I would say Alex getting 2 sacks is like, I don't know if it's happened this year, but it's definitely come very close. And this is an opportunity to do it for sure. They're going to throw the ball 80 times. So, they're going to be there. Football season is on fire right now. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, well, they're looking pretty good. And I don't think there's anything that brings more excitement right now than thinking about going to the game. And right now, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play even easier. Game Time Picks features out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Obviously, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, round 2 is red hot, but you could go to Christmas Day, Philadelphia, if you're really feeling feisty, in Cincinnati and Baltimore, both on the radar and the upcoming schedule for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me tell you why Game Time is incredible. They have a couple of things. First, the Game Time Picks, which curates to make it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc., all in pricing, which shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Seat views to get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you ever buy. The lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And Game Time ticket coverage, which means your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ALLSTEELERS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code ALLSTEELERS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
We got a couple of ones in the chat, like I mentioned. Let's kick it off with Josh, who says, what's more likely, Minkah Fitzpatrick finishing his career as a Pittsburgh Steeler, or Russell Wilson playing for the Steelers until he's 40?
I'm going Minkah. I'm going Minkah finishing his career with Pittsburgh. It just feels like that's going to happen. I got a hard time believing they're going to let Minkah go. It just, I get everybody wants to let Minkah go, but you turn on Hard Knocks, and who's sitting there with Mike Tomlin watching film? Minkah Fitzpatrick. It's just, Minkah's a Steeler. And I get it. He's got to come up with more splash plays. I understand people might be disappointed in him. I get all of it. But Minkah's a Steeler, and they love him, and that defense loves him. And I would say that Russ playing for the Steelers till he's 40. The Steelers are nuts to let a guy sit here till he's 40. Just nuts. Look at Aaron Rodgers. You don't want to take that risk, man. The fall off is not smooth. It is drastic. And if you have a good team with a bad quarterback, you're a bad team. And they're not going to let that happen. I'm going Minkah.
You might get a pretty cool Netflix documentary out of it.
Which I'm excited to watch. I'm the weird guy that's into all that. You know what I mean? Like when Aaron Rodgers went on the darkness retreat, I was like, I'll go in a darkness retreat, dude. You want to put me in there for a week? Like, sure, I'll go lose my mind for a little bit and see what comes out of it. Like, whatever. You want to blow some weird stuff up my nose in the jungle or something? Make me see ghosts? Like, you only live once. You might as well figure it all out. So I'm definitely intrigued for that one. But it is wild to make a documentary for a guy who's come back and had
nothing,
just like the worst season he could possibly have.
Speaking of the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, let's go over to Carl Spackler, who says, I got a really tough one for you, Noah. What's more likely to happen first? The Cleveland Browns win the AFC North, or the New York Jets win the AFC East?
I'll toss a fun fact at you that I actually saw today. The last 3 winners of the AFC East. Okay. You're going to be, if you haven't seen this, you might be stunned by it. You saw it? Yeah. Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Chad Pennington was the third one on that list. I think we were 12 when Chad Pennington retired. That's insane, actually. That is insanity. Yeah. It's the Jets. It's wildly the Jets to say that, because the Browns have no shot. I mean, they're a quarterback and now a whole team, possibly a coach away from figuring any of this out. The Jets just need Josh Allen to get hurt for a season. That's all you need. The Browns need everything bad to happen plus a ton of good. So I would say the Jets. I mean, both of these are this, just like you said, Carl, I got a tough one for you. It's tough because the real answer is what's more likely. Neither ever, possibly ever again.
Let's jump over to Steelers fan 8, who says, what's more likely, Russ throws for over 400 yards or Jameis throws for 4 interceptions?
Oh, Jameis 4 interceptions. I mean, Jameis throwing for 400 yards and 4 interceptions is very likely. That seems to be a very weekly thing. Like somebody asked the other day, do you start Russ or Jameis in this in fantasy football? I said, like, Jameis comes with less risk, but if he's going to match touchdowns for interceptions, you're going to come out on top of that one because he's throwing for 450, 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. They're just going to be 4 interceptions stacked out of that. That's only 8 points gone. That's 1 touchdown. You know, you got 3 more to work with plus 500 yards. It could work out well. But Jameis, 4 picks, easy in this one. Easy. What did he finish with last time? 2?
Against the Steelers, he only threw 1.
That was to Dante. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there were 2 fumbles as well. But
yeah, true. But yeah, no, I'm going 4.
Let's go over to Skylar Strong, who says, what's more likely, we pick up T. Higgins this offseason or we end up taking a first-round wide receiver in the draft?
I honestly think T. Higgins. I think the people I've spoken to, the conversations I've had, it's so early that the Steelers are not thinking that far ahead. There are some people in the building that are thinking that far ahead, but not everybody, not enough people. Not the people. Mike Tomlin isn't having those conversations yet. You know, Omar Khan might be, Sheldon White might be, but Mike Tomlin's not, and that'll come. But it does sound like the Steelers are ready to make a splash at wide receiver. There's no more risk involved here. Let's go get a wide receiver. If T. Higgins is available, we know what we could get in him, and let's go make it happen. And I think that T. Higgins will be worth a good amount of money, but not $30 million a year. And because of that, he's cheap enough for the Steelers. So I'd go Higgins, as crazy as that sounds. I think they're very close, but I'm going to go T. Higgins.
Let's jump over to Nate Moore, who says, what's more likely, Tomlin wins Coach of the Year or TJ Watt wins Defensive Player of the Year?
TJ won Defensive Player. I think he's still in the running here.
Yeah, I think he's still the favorite right now.
Yeah, yes, but it's like it's almost like a disappointing Defensive Player of the Year race. Like there's nobody there that you're just like, that's the guy. You know, last year was TJ. TJ was the guy. Should have won it. Didn't win it because everybody else had good years too. But there's always like that one, like, oh, this dude's unbelievable this year. This year, there's not that guy. It was Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence was that. It was Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson was that guy, and it just didn't pan out. But yeah, I think TJ. I agree with you. I think TJ's top 3 maybe, but he's definitely still in the hunt. Mike Tomlin is not.
Right now, if you look at DraftKings Sportsbook, TJ Watt is the overwhelming favorite, with second place right now being Myles Garrett. So this could be a determining weekend in that all-important race for Defensive Player of the Year.
What? Okay. Let me ask this. I won't be a what's more likely. What's more disappointing? Okay. Minkah Fitzpatrick never, ever getting another interception ever again in his Pittsburgh Steelers career, or TJ Watt finishing his career with less Defensive Player of the Year awards than Myles Garrett.
That one. Yeah, that one. 100%. Again, it would stink.
It would be tough.
It would stink either way, but I think TJ has overwhelmingly throughout his career been the better of the two. And the fact that right now Myles has one that he essentially stole out of TJ's house, to go back to the phrasing that was used 2 weeks ago, I think that would be the bigger disappointment, because when time fades away, we're not going to care that Minkah Fitzpatrick didn't have an interception his last 3 or 4 years as a Steeler. We'll care more that TJ Watt has less Defensive Players of the Year awards than Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be brutal, man. That would be such an injustice to the NFL. 100%.
We got 2 more we're going to get to here before we get to all of your questions. Let's go back to Skylar Strong, because this is a pretty good one as well. Where it stands right now, what's more likely? The Steelers beat the Philadelphia Eagles and claim the crown as the best Pennsylvania team, or we beat the Chiefs on Christmas?
It's got to be the Chiefs. You beat the Chiefs on Christmas. You got to feel good about that. I think that's like almost a likely thing. Good Morning Football was going off on it on Monday. Like, Steelers, they got to be the favorites over Kansas City right now. I'm like, dude, please calm down. Can we please just relax here? Like, everybody's losing it. I get it. Good game by Pittsburgh, not so good game by Kansas City. Like, I understand what's going on here, but it's still the freaking Chiefs, man. Let's stop getting out of our way. Let's get out of our own way and realize what's really going on. And that is that the Pittsburgh Steelers are a roller coaster, a fantastic roller coaster ride right now. But Kansas City's a roller coaster that does not lose. Like, it just keeps going up. And until proven otherwise, you got to think that. That being said, Philly's phenomenal. You're going to Philly, which makes it very difficult. I think Christmas Day, the emotions are high. The energy will be high. Kansas City will have distractions about playing on Christmas and having to travel for it on a short week. It'll be much more difficult. I'm going Pittsburgh in that one. Although historically short weeks are not good for Pittsburgh, but I think this is an exception.
Sidebar question here. Have you seen the Kansas City Chiefs Christmas movie that came out?
No. What?
Don't see it. It's
There's
a Hallmark
Kansas
movie.
City.
Yes.
Oh, I saw that. I saw the preview for that on we're big Hallmark people here. So
are you?
It's
well, then maybe you will like it. I'll
toss it on the background.
I was like, oh, okay. This is
not
exactly
good.
what you'd expect.
Yeah. Well, then it's just a Hallmark movie. It's exactly, if you could guess everything that's going to happen,
and
it's
the acting
just a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out. It's probably downstairs in my house right now, actually. So
there we go. Let's finish off what's more likely with this one from Rowdy. He says, what's more likely? JPJ quiets the critics, I assume, or he has another highly penalized game against the Browns.
Man, like, you're killing me here, guys. What's more likely is another highly penalized game. Like, that's just Joey Porter's game. And I don't think that he's playing necessarily like to get penalized. I just think he's physical. And right now, flags are flying for Pittsburgh, and that's just the ref's way of doing things, and that's not going to change. Jerry Jeudy's on a tear, and I mean, it's hard. Like, it's hard to say Jerry Jeudy's not going to be out. He is. It's not a one-game tear; it's a multiple-game tear. He's doing his thing. I think he's not going to have nearly as good of a game against Joey Porter Jr. that he had 2 weeks ago, but I do think he catches some passes. And I think what's more likely is more penalties for Joey Porter. I expect Joey Porter to turn things around. I 100% expect that. Like, Joey is a dude who's going to work to figure this out. But right now it's one game into realizing he has to figure it out. Like, nothing happens overnight. So I would say what's more likely is the second one, unfortunately.